first, let's take you through what's the current situation. Tonight, we start with those super exclusive visuals now coming in. These are the first visuals of the UAV surveillance that is being carried out in Manipur. The Indian Army, in fact, has deployed unmanned aerial vehicles and helicopters to keep an eye on sensitive areas across the state of Manipur, as authorities are now working to restore the normalcy in the violence-hit state. In fact, we also have some more big breaking news now coming in terms of the action that has been taken by the Indian Army, the UAV surveillance that is essentially being done. Remember, there are miscreants who are taking advantage of the situation. In fact, the Chief Minister of Manipur has said that multiple efforts are now being made to ensure that the situation does not go out of hand. On your screens right now, these are the images, part of the images, I would say, of the surveillance that is being carried out. In fact, the details that we are picking up right now, this surveillance visual that has now been accessed by Republic TV is from an area that's in Manipur, which is called Maka Leka, which is in Kakching area. And this surveillance is being carried out to also look at certain elements, miscreants that have been operating. But apart from, what's important to point out here is what exactly is the Indian Army right now doing in order to bring in normalcy in the situation. In fact, UAV, mine-protected vehicles, QRTs have been mobilized to undertake large-scale civilian rescue operations in the aftermath of the fresh violence in Kakching district. So let's put that out, this information that this is also being done to carry out the civilian rescue operations. Now, important to point out here is that these areas, we'll stay with the visuals that are now coming in, we'll stay with the UAV visuals. Important to point out that in some of the areas, the rescue operation that is being carried out, this rescue operation is being carried out by the Indian Army. The more details we are picking up is that in Sugnu and Serao villages of Kakching district, which witnessed destruction, there were violent clashes that took place on 28th of May. There were villagers from both the communities who were stranded in pockets under the protection of security forces. They were taken out. This is a major evacuation drive that has been organized by the army as well as the Assam Rifles. Let's not put this out that this is an operation that has been carried out by the Indian Army as well as the Assam Rifles, of course in coordination with the police, state administration and civil society organizations. Nearly 2,000 Meiteis villagers, they were evacuated from Serao to Pangaltabi, as well as they were taken to the relief camp, is what we are being told. And the surveillance cover that was given by the UAVs, mine-protected vehicles and area domination patrols were put in place to ensure that there was safe and incident-free evacuation. In fact, if my producers can put out the pictures that the Indian Army has also, that we have accessed of the evacuation drive. Let's put out those visuals and in fact see the kind of reception that the Indian Army as well as the Assam Rifles have actually got with the help that they were providing to the locals in the area. We've accessed those visuals also. Let's put a two-window showing the visuals that are coming in from our sources within the Indian Army as well as Assam Rifles. Now, these are the latest visuals that you see right now on your screens. In fact, this operation that has been carried out, starting all the way back on 10th of May, you would see those visuals that were coming in. 10th of May when the UAVs were actually deployed by the Indian Army as well as the Assam Rifles. This was primarily to ensure that the evacuation drive is carried out in a smooth manner. We have our reporters on the ground. In fact, my colleague Anirudh has been camping in Manipur for last several weeks, getting you ground reports. In fact, tonight, we are putting out an extensive coverage of what's really happening on the ground. Anirudh, over to you. We'll play out those ground reports that you've also sent. But this is the evacuation drive that has been carried out by the Indian Army as well as the Assam Rifles in coordination with the local authorities, the police, etc. I'm told that in a short while from now, we'll put out the visuals of the evacuation drive. Let's put out the latest images of that evacuation drive that was carried out. Anirudh, if you're there, why don't you explain this to our viewers? What is the situation? Of course, it would be premature to say that the situation is absolutely normal, because that's not the case, because there have been reports of violent clashes that have taken place And there have been attempts that are being certainly made by the administration to bring it under control. Let's put out those visuals. I'm repeating, let's put out those visuals once again. This is what you see is the surveillance visual, but we'll also put out the evacuation drive visuals. If Anirudh is there, Anirudh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Anirudh, if you can hear me, why don't you just quickly take us through the details that we are picking up right now? I'm told that multiple arrests have also been made by the authorities on the ground, and one concern certainly being is that warlike ammunitions have been recovered. So is there more than what meets the eye at this point in time? And if that is the case, then the situation appears to be quite tense.
Yes, someone definitely there are more than what actually meets the eyes, because today we visited some areas in the light the west, and there also has been on in some places like the gun battle itself lasted for more than 17 hours. So this is a clear indication that the insurgents, in fact, have learned. They backed up with a huge quantity of arms and ammunition. And moreover, the very fact that these are insurgents who are in suspension of operation with the government of India and the government of Manipur, this actually raises more concern. Militants who are in suspension of operation have abandoned their designated camps and are now arsoning villages one after another. So, and that is the reason why there are many confrontation now happening. In fact, now also we are getting in reports that there have been incident of firing again in Imphal West and several other areas. So basically, the confrontation that is being seen now is between the.
Now, big breaking news coming in, and this is in regards to the Manipur violence, where the Indian Army has apprehended 22 miscreants with weapons and warlike stores. It is said that responding to specific intelligence about armed miscreants venturing out for burning of houses in some areas in Imphal East, Army has mobilized columns on 28th of May to establish multiple mobile vehicle checkposts and undertake search operations in the area. While operating in the area, the Army columns were fired upon from automatic weapon by miscreants who were trying to burn their houses. So, ladies and gentlemen, important to point out, and one aspect of the story that has been completely blanked out, the very fact that there are miscreants who are now taking advantage of the situation. Let's not forget that this is a dispute that has been going on for a very long time, aggravated with certainly Manipur High Court's direction that was given to the state to pursue a 10-year-old recommendation to grant scheduled tribe status to the non-tribal Meiteis community. But having said that, it does appear that the long-standing divide still continues. Let's now get you some of the ground reports. Ladies and gentlemen, now it's been almost 33 days, a little more than 33 days now since the violence actually started. It basically started as clashes between two ethnic groups, the Kukis and Meiteis. Thousands of houses were gutted in the fire. Many lives were lost, and the situation still continues to remain tense. The Indian Army, along with Assam Rifles, is doing multiple surveillance drives where they've deployed UAVs and helicopters, which are being extensively used for the surveillance in the hinterland as also Indian-Myanmar border. Republic is the only channel which has been on ground since day one, and we get you these exclusive ground reports, which gives you a sense of what's the current situation. There is much more that the government essentially needs to do at this point in time to bring the situation under control. What you're going to see right now, these are ground reports coming in from Manipur, various parts of Manipur, to get you a sense of the evacuation drive, the surveillance that's being carried out, and more importantly, who exactly is responsible for the situation going out of control. The eviction drive was being carried out since February. But before I put out those ground reports, I also have our senior executive editor Abhishek Kapoor for a quick response that I want to bring in. Abhishek, this is a long-standing dispute. As far as the non-tribal Meitei community is concerned, there are arguments that have been put forth, but it now turns out with the Indian Army stepping in and you see the kind of arrests that have been made, it would be a safe assumption to make that there are antisocial elements who are basically trying to take advantage of the situation.
Well, absolutely, Shawan. So this crackdown that is happening is also because the Home Minister is landing there, or must have landed, the Union Home Minister. And he has gone there to defuse the crisis, which has been going on for the last 25 days. Essentially, the provided that is also the land survey, the forest areas. And the reason why the drawback happened by the Kuki militants, Shawan, is because a lot of poppy cultivation happens there, and it's like their bread and butter, both because it helps them arm and also because poppy versus rice almost 20 times the money. And so the blowback had turned into a Mighty versus Kuki. And remember, as it happens, the Mighties also want reservation, and that also is another trigger because there was a report of the possibility of, on the instructions of the High Court, that there was the Mighty might get included as scheduled tribes, and that's something resented by the Kukis who are already scheduled tribes. So, of course, so there are reasons, there might be many contributing factors, but the fact of the matter is that the Kuki versus Mighty battles that have happened from village to village and district to district, particularly in Chura Chandrapur, for example, that's something which has resulted in all these all this violence and arson and even deaths. Following this and this civil arrest situation, the illegal forces have gotten it. For example, there were some militants or
we seem to be having some problem with the audio line with Abhishek. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, as we promised at the beginning of the edition, that we'll take you through what led to the clashes, because this has been going on for quite some time. The eviction drive actually started sometime in February. It, of course, aggravated when the Manipur High Court order essentially came in. All that put together, it does appear that the situation has only gone out of control. Of course, the BJP-led government in Manipur has been heavily criticized for not being able to take the situation under control. But remember, there have been assurances that have come in now from the Union Home Ministry that all possible steps are being taken to ensure that things remain under control. Take a look at these ground reports filed by my colleague Anirudh from Manipur.